Hi, welcome to Diane and Sarah today. So Diane and I are going to talk to you a little bit today about our own coaching experiences and some goal setting. So I'm so excited. Diane is my coach, and we wanted to put together just some ideas and thoughts and have a little back and forth about sharing what's going on in both of our lives and how we have both benefited from coaching. And I will warn you, we are trying some new technology and we're just going to see how it goes. So hopefully you'll get to enjoy this video. So thanks for joining me, Diane.
Thank you, Sarah. And it's so cool because I do have us pulled up on my phone watching us do this. And so it's working. And yes, hi, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to try this. The only way we learn how to do any new thing is just diving in, trying it, seeing if it works. And I guess it is working because I can see myself talking right now from my phone. So yeah, it's exciting to be here. I've been honored to know you, work with you, and I think it's going to be really valuable to share more about just coaching in general and more about what you do and what I do, and I can't wait.
I'm all excited. Well, because I've worked with you almost a year now, and I'm already signed up to work with you again next year. Tell my audience a little bit of how you got into coaching. Like, where did this first start? Because I'm always curious, like, are they born coachers? Are they the person who, like, in 8th grade is, like, giving everybody else advice? So, like, what's kind of like that natural coaching skills?
No, that's a great, yeah, I was, my first career was as a counselor. But I was counseling long before I actually got that little title, went to the school and got my master's degree, because people always came to me and people probably always came to you for math help and all that kind of stuff, in numbers and finance, and people came to me to talk to me, and I thought that was just normal. But I found out later that there's a certain gifting with, thinking in terms of coaching, counseling, and so, yeah, my first career was as a counselor, and many have heard the story that really was a defining moment in my life. But I had a client after 5 years in the counseling realm. I was an LPC, or the equivalent of that, in Washington State, and I had a client that made the decision to kill himself. And then it led me on this really a horrible road I never would have signed up for, getting sued and walking through a lawsuit for 4 years. And after all that ended, I basically had to start again. And I couldn't start again in my own field because of some restrictions on me. And at the same time moved to Texas. And so it was like, who am I? What am I going to do? And so slowly moved back into coaching at that time. And had heard about or actually didn't move back into it. I was just learning about coaching and began to dabble that direction and became a certified life purpose coach, which was perfect because I was feeling myself, like, what's my purpose now? After losing my career, what's my new purpose? How do I serve the world with these gifts I have? And so really began with that, and then eventually, as you know, created the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs in 2010. There was a lot of details we're going to leave out in between, and then sold that about a year ago. But I've always been coaching, connecting, serving, teaching. We can call it a lot of different things, mentoring, and I just love it. I can't not. It's like you can't stop doing it. And sometimes, as you know, you try to leave a place and then it keeps coming back, right?
Yes, it does. Kind of, for people who aren't familiar, what would you say the difference between a coach and a counselor is? Because sometimes I think you're just a naturally open person. I'm always like, oh, it's my session with Diane. I kind of wrap you all up into one, and I love that. But there are some differences with the coaching versus counseling.
Yeah, great question. So I know lots of counselors, and so if somebody is clinically depressed, if somebody needs help with anxiety, if somebody is having, I don't know, there's diagnosable things, and we all know people that have those. In fact, I've had many of those. I've had depression, I've had anxiety, and I've had, you know, alcoholism. Those are all what we would call DSM-4, DSM-5 qualifications. They're diagnosable, and you can often get your insurance to pay for your counseling, or you get EAP counseling.
Okay.
And coaching, and a lot of coaching is really forward focused, goal setting, dream building, and I do life and business coaching. And part of what's unique about me is, of course, you know, I can deal with the counseling piece. I'm not a counselor anymore, but like all that's still in me. So we can talk 1 minute about your business, next minute about your breakdown, and we wrap that all up and send you back out. And so, but there's a time for both. I have counselors, I have coaches, I have support groups, and I just feel so strongly that, you know, it takes what it takes, you know, and I need all these people to keep me trotting down the road the right way. But great question. Hopefully that answers it. Kind of more forward focused, and maybe dealing with past issues and traumas and hurts maybe.
Yeah, I think that's, and when I think about our sessions, we touch a little bit on what's happened, but we are very forward focused. And part of it is I'm a continuous optimist, so that I'm very forward focused. I want to leave it all behind and just only focus on what's going forward. Yeah.
Exactly. You want me to ask you a question now?
Yeah, okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to basically, just for those that are watching and listening, we're going to be taking turns, because I sent Sarah some questions and she sent me some questions. And I know you, Sarah, you've made lots of changes, and and one of the things that I love helping women do is walk through those transformations. You left your career, your big career, so to speak, corporate, with accounting, and then you came with Plaid for Women, and still with Plaid for Women, but you've also been doing some of your own, building your own business kind of on the side back with accounting. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a lot of changes. I guess, how have you walked through that, and what led you to seek out some coaching?
Yeah, so I decided the end of 2016 was my last corporate job, and I'd always been in finance, and I really needed to do something different for myself and for my family. And so I joined, and I'd been a supporter of Plaid for Women for a while. So I joined Plaid for Women, and through kind of a series of changes, we've kind of refined the platform, but I'm specifically able to move more into the owner role now versus the day-to-day person. And so we have a great team who can still publish the content and do all of that, and I'm still very involved in the direction and not doing Plaid. It's just I'm able to really empower other people to help me with that. And so this past year, I started, people always come back, and Diane will tell you I was so resistant to this. People kept asking me for accounting help because I'm a CPA and, you know, I have this experience, and kind of combining that with running Plaid for Women. I have kind of the big picture, the corporate piece, but also the really I'm running my own business piece. And so this past year I started, first it was like people, can you help me? Can you help me? I'm like, yeah, I can help you. I can do this. And it has just grown substantially, where I kind of have to do a lot of time blocking, and Diane and I've kind of worked on my calendar and some of these things to take control of my hours. But, you know, the change is just, I can't even, I got rid of all my suits. I have one Navy suit. So if I need to wear a suit, it's my Navy one, because that's all I have. You know, my lifestyle has changed. I have a lot more flexibility. I work less, and this is kind of like a recovering workaholic. I mean, I was working a lot. So, you know, just really being focused on being present with my family and my kids has helped me a lot. And now I'm kind of at the point where I'm building this business where I can be satisfied and proud of the work that I do. I'm a good accountant, but I'm also able to shut it down and kind of walk away and be there with my family. And so those are kind of just, I mean, that's really summed up. This is about we're almost into 2019. So about a 3-year journey And so let's, kind of the progression is like the first 6 weeks, I was just exhausted from working my corporate job. So I slept more than I've ever slept. And then you kind of have the high of like running and starting a new business, which was amazing. And then you kind of have real, if you're a small business owner, like you go into the fetal position and you cry for a little bit. And then you kind of pick up some other things and you go. So I gave you like the very abbreviated, but let's just say I've had every emotion possible during this 2-year time period. And it hasn't always been pretty. It's been a lot of work. And one of the reasons I reached out to Diane, and we met for coffee, someone introduced us, and I had been very resistant to coaching. I am a very smart person and I have all the degrees and I could whip my computer around. I have like a wall of, the shrine to Sarah, which you probably need to take that down. But I had this idea that, I have all this experience and I don't understand why it's not working. And so when Diane and I met, we really just clicked because of her experience with NACWE and running kind of an online platform, which was what I was doing with Plaid. It just kind of gave me some solidarity in, other people have done this and what can I do to pick their brains? And so we did click, but and I told Diane, I was like, I'm very resistant to this. Like, I'm a very smart person. I don't need people to tell me what to do. I'm the idea person. But like you talked about, we are very forward focused. It's us collaborating. I don't feel like, and I don't think coaching in general is like this. Coaches don't tell you what to do and then tell you to execute. You're really collaborative and you're the one who's got to do all the hard work. You and the coach can come up with a great idea, but you're the one actually doing it. So it's very different than I originally anticipated in a good way.
Yeah. And it's so fascinating because, I get each of my clients need something a little, it's like this, I need to go to the Sarah channel when I'm with you versus somebody else's. Some people need a lot more hand holding or detail. Okay, here's what you need to do. That's not your style. It's not your style. And a lot of it's just talking, and my role is to adapt, obviously, and hopefully every coach, there's some coaches that are much more, here's your list, get it done. And some coaches don't give you any of that. They just ask questions and wait and hope you, figure it out yourself. And I think for each of us, we've got to figure out a right coaching style. Because I have a coach, of course, I would never ask anybody to coach with me if I wasn't investing in myself and investing in coaching, online courses, trainings. And let me do a little sidebar. I remember when I hired my first business coach, I was scared to death. I had no income. I was like, holding on by dear life to this little mini business I had created. And I just thought, I've attended all the free webinars I can attend. And I've read every book. I need somebody to help me. I need somebody to walk with me and look into my business. And I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be able to afford her. And she adapted to what I could afford. And it was like this little mini miracle in my life. And, I've worked with probably 10 coaches since then. That was probably 10 years ago. And I've had coaches that have been with me for 3.5 years. And now I'm actually coaching with my coach's coach. And, you're going to have a season where that's the right person for you. And then it's time for you to go maybe learn a new skill from this other person. Doesn't mean that this other one's wrong or not right for you. They still put on their pants and they're going to I'm going to make mistakes. Here's what I love about our group. We have Sarah's in one of my high level mastermind groups. And if, as we go along and talk about all this, if you want information, we'll post the links and all that. But, these are women that are doing the work. They're doing the work. They probably already have a business. They're trying to take it to the next level or adapt or maybe work less but smarter. But it's a like-minded group that can share, okay, this worked for me. This didn't work for me. Can you help me? Can you look at this? Can you dive in with me? Or even just pray for me so that I can go out and try it once more. And that's why I love the power of not just private coaching, but group coaching too. that's the kind of program I'm in. You know, I get private attention and I get the support of 25 other women who are all over the world doing, you know, sometimes a very similar thing to me, but sometimes like there's artists, there's, you know, there's all sorts of people in that other group. And I get such value from learning from people in different careers, different perspective. Very valuable.
Well, you talked about being adaptable and the Sarah channel. Sometimes we change the Sarah channel, right? Because for me personally, my business, I am like laser focused. I've got the list. I know what I'm doing. But on the personal side, you know, sometimes I need a swift kick in the pants. Okay, are you working out? Are you eating the right way? And so I love that you're able to adapt my multi-personalities because I am just, given being an accountant, you love Excel spreadsheets and to-do list. Like I excel in being you know, in that piece, but I need a lot of help in this other piece. And that's really the whole reason that I made changes from kind of leaving my corporate job. And not everyone has to leave a corporate job. It's, you know, that's not everybody's dream. But for me, it was more about the complete person that I wanted to be versus, you know, one or the other. And that's just been a lifelong struggle for me as a recovering perfectionist and, you know, someone who likes to excel in certain areas, but I kind of always put myself last. And so I like it that in our conversations, we are adaptable. And you know a lot about me, but you're also like, well, have you talked to your husband about this? Or have you talked to your mom about this? Because you know they're important people in my life, you know, of sounding boards. And so we kind of have, yes, we have the business piece, but we have the personal touch as well.
Exactly. And I just love, I mean, that's what I love about these relationships, because I just got to send all of you, and here's another difference between counseling and coaching. So counseling, like we couldn't be doing this right now. You know, I couldn't ever meet you at a coffee shop if I was a counselor and have that conversation. You know, the great benefit about coaching for me is I can know your family. We go on trips together. I've got a trip planned for our Brave Creations group, and I've been doing that for the masterminds for about 5 years. And so there's not all those HIPAA rules. And so there's a lot more, and I was able to send all of you girls gifts in the mail. Counselors can't do that. You know, counselors can't do that. And so there was a time, actually a year ago before you and I met, that I was thinking about going back to become a counselor again. And because I felt like that career was kind of taken from me, and there was some resentment and long-term lingering doubts about, is that where I'm supposed to be? And here's the miracle. I only invested $700, maybe $800, in the class I took, because I went back to take a grad school class, because I actually found out I would have to get a brand new master's degree. And I just wasn't, I mean, I learned by going to that class that I already know what I need to know, and I need to stay here in the coaching lane. There's plenty of counselors, there's plenty of coaches, but like I have my little lane. And but sometimes, here's the truth, sometimes we have to learn by going. Like I had to learn by driving to the grad school, sitting in that Monday night class for 10 weeks in a row. And you know, luckily I didn't lose $5,000 on it. You know, I learned quickly, and I listened to my heart. I listened to my clients. I listened to my experience. And you had to do that same thing in order to leave corporate. Like you had to listen and kind of, I mean, I know leaving that job and like moving over into a freedom is scary as heck, right? And then you've had to recreate yourself 2 or 3 times since then. And, you know, we need help on all that. That's like scary. That's scary stuff right there. Right?
It is scary stuff. Yeah, it is definitely, it's scary, and it's been better. I've been better, like physically, mentally, of just walking the path with someone, kind of beside me and cheer me on. And I mean, I had a business partner, and she was great to do that too, but we were both struggling. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have this outside perspective. And my husband's great, but he's not in my business either. You know, like it just needed this third party kind of type person. So one of the things you do work, like you said, you work with life coaching, you work with business coaching. kind of speaking like specifically to the business coaching, what do you see are some common struggles for female entrepreneurs? I mean, are we struggling with similar things of kind of, mindfulness and pushing past, hurts or focusing on money? I mean, we all have this, I mean, not everybody's a carbon copy, but like, are there themes that it's like, hey, it's okay. Like there's 100 other people struggling with that too. I mean.
Oh, yeah. Great question. I mean, so that's why I created NACWE long time in 2010, because I was like, I'm saying the same thing to her, as to her, as to her, as to her. And I wanted to create a safe place. And NACWE was the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs. And I just happened, like, I just grabbed, like, I have a book called The Inspired Business Toolkit. And some of the chapters are in here about money, mindset, marketing, mentorship, your business mission. And there's all these templates and things in there because truly everybody is dealing with the same stuff. Everybody is dealing with perfectionism that keeps them in overwhelm, and then they do nothing, right? You're an action taker. But there's a whole lot of people that are not taking any action, right? They're just sitting there
Sometimes
staring.
I need to slow down. So let's pull that back just a little bit. There's extremes on both ends.
Exactly. And so, yes, I mean, it's sometimes just helpful for one that you're not alone, and for two that, all we have to do is just, one day at a time, right? I mean, that's how I stay sober and lose weight and build a business. And so one day at a time, what can I do on my list? I can't get everything for a whole month done today. I mean, we're all frantically trying to get all these things done before we leave for Christmas, right? It's like a frantic race to the end, right? And, there's only so many hours, and you have children, a husband, a house, a dog, dogs. And we, but let's say we're able to move 3 things off, forward, check, or even one thing. If you did one thing off of your list every single day, that's going to be 365. Mm-hmm. And most people are just sitting, a lot of us just stare at Facebook. Let's tell the truth. We stare at Facebook, we shuffle a bunch of papers around, wondering which thing am I supposed to do? Which thing am I supposed to? Well, just do one, doesn't matter. Pick one, get it done. There's just a lot of overthinking, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, and a lot of, who am I to do this? A lot of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter syndrome, I think, is rampant in a lot of women. And it is, I mean, I have like severely cut my social media time because I realized how much, I didn't do an app or anything, but I just realized how much time I was looking at it. And I used to tell myself, I'm like, it's for plaid, I have got to be out there. And now I'm like, okay, I got to be laser focused. I've got to do these things. And one of the things in a few weeks, I'm going to be talking to kind of about how I set goals and how I prep for 2019. And I'll put the link in the comments. But when you talk about that one thing, I try to do 3 things a day. And I only have 3 things on my to-do list because I cannot handle more than 3. And sometimes it's like call Sears to have them come fix your dishwasher. Like, why do I keep putting that off? But it's, I set micro goals for myself. And then sometimes I treat myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do these, maybe it's return 10 email. Some of those things, it's like, you don't think it's going to take time, but it takes time. And by the time you haven't done it, it's taken way more time. I'm like, I'm going to treat myself to a nice warm cup of coffee and I'm going to knock these things out. So I even set incentives for myself. So, and I'll kind of be talking a little bit about that. You talked about your own coach. How have you benefited from coaching this past year? Like, you've definitely brought, I know that when we meet in our mastermind, you're like, oh, I got this great idea from my coach, and we'll do it. And our minds are like, that was so great. So I know you bring ideas, but how have you professionally benefited as well as growing your business?
Yeah, sure. I feel like I've clarified down to the 3 main things I teach now, 3 main programs. And so that I used to try to do 10, we have a lot of ideas. And so on my website, as of the last 2 weeks, I've cleaned a lot of those off. They're hidden or they're moved down to the very bottom. Don't be running over there looking, people, because it's called the junk drawer. I found out that was called the junk drawer. But I feel like I know what I'm going to do this next year. And like I have it mapped out. The Life Change Club is January, February, March. I know that. I did it last year, but I know it better now. I know it deeper. And a lot of women need help just with change, with habits, with, you know, food, exercise, business building. And so, and then that will lead straight into the Brave Creations Mastermind, Inner Circle. And so those two main programs, and then I have a program called Coaching for Counselors and Coaches. So I feel like I know the three main programs that I'm going to do. And so that's been a big benefit of that clarity from my coach and watching her do that same model. And then I also feel like I have crystal clear clarity on, right now I'm in a mission, and I'll just put it out there. I'm on a mission
out there
to talk to 100 women. And, you know, there's only so many hours in the day, people. And I made the commitment, and I'm keeping track. And I've talked to, and this is in 2 weeks, I've talked to one-on-one 26 women so far. Nobody gets to be counted twice. So you've already been counted, Sarah. So
okay.
Bummer for me. But, you know, I want to, here's what I know. We don't want like to admit this, but it's a numbers game. If I talk to 100 women, 20 to 25 to 30 to 40, I don't know how many, are going to want to do some coaching with me. And so because I'm the right person, if I'm not the right person, you know, I can send you to somewhere else. But I also know that I have to get out of my own way. And this is a commitment for me. I'm having to reach out in a bold, crazy way. I like tomorrow, on Friday, I'm on the phone on Zoom, seven people in a row. And so there's a lot of, I guess for me, that my coach didn't give me that idea. She didn't give me that idea, but she did tell me that she reached out to a certain number of people, and then X number of people said yes. And so that prompted that concept of, you know, if I sit here and just think magic pixie desk is going to bring me clients, well, I don't know about that. So it's just a matter of I'm doing my own new habits in order to reach the women that might need exactly who I am. And so if that's one of you that's watching, you can email me, Diane@DianeCunningham.com, or my phone number, which I now have memorized because it's a Google Voice number. Do not ever give out your regular personal phone number. Google Voice, 940-247-0090. And so I'm just on this mission to basically like get out of my own way, you know, get out of my own fear, get out of my own I'm not worthy nonsense. All of that's old thinking. And, you know, I have a coach that teaches me that so that I can come teach you guys that. Yes.
Well, and a few things. One, from an accounting standpoint, I got my accounting brain on, is once you have these metrics of these 100 conversations and you know how many convert, and like you said, I love that even from an accounting standpoint, I'm not a fit for everyone. I'm a little too bossy, and you know, some people don't like the hard truth about their numbers because I'm like, oh, you're losing money, we're gonna fix this, and you know, So I like it, one, that you know you're not a fit for everyone, and it's gotta be a mutual relationship, because we do. Diane and I have a relationship with each other. She sent me this picture of blow-ups, and her neighbor has these Christmas blow-ups, and I said I would send her a BB gun. I mean, we enjoy each other, but we do support and collaborate with each other. But also, from an accounting standpoint, back to that, you know, next year, if you meet your goal of how many clients you need to get, next year you'll know, okay, next year I need to do 110 calls, or next year I can do 75 calls. And once you have that data, you're able to kind of build that around your business. And so, you know, I think as business owners, sometimes we forget, like, we've got to keep records of some of these things. And it doesn't have to be some crazy Excel spreadsheet. You have it written down. You know, it's not like, you don't have to have a system, but it is to keep records around that. So.
No, that's perfect. And let me just brag on Sarah. I mean, Sarah is not using a little chart like this. Sarah is using an Excel spreadsheet, and she's obvious. I've never worked with you as an accountant, but I have seen you live plaid, do plaid.
Yes.
And I've sat in your conference, and I know what it takes to have a conference, because I've had many of my own, and I just need to say your conference was amazing. I was proud to be in the audience and made these amazing, I've met wonderful women, some that I knew before, but I got to meet a bunch of new women this last year when I went, and watching you do what you do was fascinating and beautiful to see, because you and I are very different. We are very different, and that's totally good. It's totally good. And we all need an accountant. We all need a Sarah in our life, right? And some of you might need a coach, and maybe that's me, but definitely sometimes it's like we need facts and feelings to really begin to balance out. And then we also just have to show up and tell the truth and be ourselves, ask for the help, and I love that you were willing, despite of all that you know. Of course, we all know so much, honestly. We know too much. We know too much for our own good. But you were willing to say, you know what, I think you can help me, and let's walk together on this path. It's been really good.
It has been good, and I've noticed not only the change in my business, but also just the change in my life. And that's really, if I look back at where I was 2 to 3 years ago, that was the whole reason for wanting to do something different. So thank you for that. Okay, Diane's face is frozen, so we are going to wrap up our Facebook Live. We will be putting in the comments all the links. Oh, there you are, you're back. Oh no, she's on mute.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Sorry, I was wrapping us up. Your face was frozen. I was like, oh no.
I know. Okay, we're back. We're back.
Well, I was just wrapping us up. I was going to share, Diane and I we've mentioned a lot of things today. We'll put all those in the comments. Help Diane reach her goal of meeting 100 women. You will be blessed for your time with her, whether you work with her or not. I know that she'll be encouraging to you as she has been to me. So we've got a lot going on. Everybody's focused on their goal, wrapping up the year, but start thinking about what you want 2019 to be. If I was sitting a year ago, I could not have imagined the year that I had. And it was really through some prep work that I did late last year and early in 2018 that really kind of helped me get ready for mindset changes, for healthy changes, for business changes. And honestly, I couldn't have done that work without Diane. So thank you for your support on that. So
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, that's a wrap. I hope everyone has a great holiday. And we will this was fun. We will probably be back if the technology doesn't fail us. So thanks for playing along with us.
All right, bye.